All right, everybody. I am Michael, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this remix of popular song that recently got a little viral. I have under 100 subscribers. There's no reason why my video hit 1,000 plays. I'm very appreciative of it, and thank you everybody who listened and threw a likes up. If you haven't checked it out, um, I'll leave a link down below in the description. I'm going to show you guys how I made it and what steps it takes to remix some songs sometimes and what directions you can take it. Now, usually there's two different ways I like to take a sample. Usually I either recreate the whole entire melody and chording or use a MIDI file, which is what I did with this project. And then I interpret what I want out of that to make my remix. Or I take the audio directly and I remix it and chop it and handle it that way. I prefer to call it the hip hop way because you know how hip hop and sampling go hand in hand. So first thing I want to point out is I felt like it was good to have a flute accentuate the note, and then I use this like bottle blow thing to like give it a little more flair. So together it sounds like. I believe the complete next thing that I worked on was this here. This is chords. Actually, by the way, I do want to also point out that everything that I'm doing in this remix, synth wise, is completely out of the stock Ableton plugins that come with Ableton Live 11 Suite. Everything here is stock. This plugin here, I use it. It's called the Grand Piano Lost Ship. Very nice piano, and it sounds like this. So it's like a very I don't know how to call it, very airy sound that I like, very ambient sounding almost. And then I coupled it with this. Have an arpeggiator that has a little bit. Actually, no, it's just a stock arpeggiator. I'm pretty sure if you take arpeggiator and you just MIDI effects and you drop it directly onto here, this is exactly how it is. And sometimes when I find something and I go, oh, this sounds good, I don't change it. I don't do anything to it because I'm like, this is perfect. I'll just lower the volume or do whatever I need to do. Probably nothing until I actually get down to the mix and, settle what it is. But seeing as how I have done nothing to this, I probably in the mix didn't feel like it needed changing. Next, I believe I did this. So this is the preset is grand piano harp time, and it just sounds very heavenly. And I felt like if I combined it with this, you see the layers coming together. Okay. Next, I believe I wanted a little lead to go in between, so I added this. And it sounds a little weird, but it works in the mix, I believe. You see how it's starting to ride on top of everything? The next thing that's very important is, of course, the drums. And I added just, my drums are extremely simple. I'm not like people like Throw Beat or Sir or layer their drums and they're really complex. Sometimes I like to keep it simple. Most of the times I like to keep it simple. Um, so my drums is this. Very Voguish almost. And then you add this drum loop here. That cements it all together. I believe those are all the basic notions for this first part, with of course the vocal. In this second part here, that sounds like this. So this is like I forgot what the exact genre of electronic music this type of like bass rhythm comes from, but I remember it from a lot of the early like 2010 to 2020 like music and stuff like that, like festival music type stuff. So I decided to like take that, and how I did it, I took the chords and I stripped them down to the bass note, and then I I like created a rhythm out of them, and then I took the melody parts in between to give it like a swing that's familiar. And then I added FM bells over it so that it had like the melodic portion to go with it. So check this out. I use this part. I use this cowbell part I use for the main melody in here. So that's why I have an automation that's raising it in for the introduction to the second part. But I forgot that it had inclusion in this part. So let's actually hear how that would sound. Let's make a little edit. It kind of just adds more noise than I would rather in like. So it's fine. It's fine exactly the way it is. I kind of just reuse this chord here. This chord is like the basis of the song. It's used for primarily most of it. I reintroduced this part here, the weird synth lead, as an introductory piece to this new part, which I use a new drum loop. I believe it's the same drum pattern, kick and snare, just no alternative perk and a different loop for the pattern to give it a different feel. And what I do is like you can hear that loop has a lot of characteristics to it. Like it has its own vibe, and it doesn't really feel like it would sit in the drums. But if you sidechain hard enough, none of that matters. So that's all I did. I sidechained it so it would pump so much that it would fit the pattern that I set for the drums. So this portion, basically I had to warp this section of the song individually line by line until it fit kinda into the vibe that I was going for. I feel like I kind of went from like heavy bass section to kind of fashion pop house maybe, and like I just needed something to make it fit and sound kind of voguey a little. Oh, there's a couple effects on the vocals too. I have redux on here with the bit rate pulled down a little bit and the bits pulled down a little bit just to give it a little edge. You can see that there's no real editing. I didn't even like EQ the vocal. Like real synth producer coming through here, but it sounds good, and that I feel like at the end of the day, that's all that matters from a listener standpoint. The listeners don't care that you did 12 backflips around a mixing board at 12 midnight to make this mix sound perfect. They don't care. They want to just sound good. They just want it to be a good song. That's all that matters. What I have here is the same vocal twice, one higher pitch and one lower pitch, to just give it like. Sometimes I feel like it's a good higher pitched component to a low voice makes the voice clearer, and ever since I started doing that on my own vocals, I've been taking them and applying that technique to these vocals as well. I have these here. This is for the second breakdown. I just basically took this sound here, these exact sounds, so this sounds like this. So and then I added it to the second breakdown. But this time I actually sidechained it. These ones here aren't sidechained, so they're not pumping with the drums. These ones are to smooth out the spikes from it being such a attack heavy instrument, and also make it fit in with. And then you might be like, oh, okay, well, why is this part even relevant? It's because I have very sparingly used bass, for real, in this song. The only place that bass really shows up heavily is these two sections. So when these parts come in, it always has impact because I've been sparing in my use. So like if you have cake every day, maybe you might not value cake as much. But if you only have cake on your birthday, you're gonna want that shit every time. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the principle for my bass usage in this track. This bass, by the way, this is also, once again, stock plugin. I don't even think I probably didn't even adjust the parameters. Let's be honest. I know me. And I compressed it with a little bit of dip. I did have another bass that was gonna accompany it. However, I didn't feel like it was necessary, so I left it out. And now I'll give it one good playthrough, and you guys can hear all the mixing choices. Actually, before I start and jump the gun, another thing that's really important. Oh, another element I completely forgot. I added a guitar to fill the space, and I arpeggiated. Last thing, my transitions. I am very lazy with my transitions. I want them to bring you to the. It's not a Rolls Royce. It's a public bus. I bring you from A to B. All right. So I used this break here to emphasize the section before moving into the section after. 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, basically. In context. So it does, you do hear the difference. It's not a full drop, but you feel it. Next, I kind of finished most of the structure of the song before I decided, ooh, this needs, you know, some type of transitional element. So I feel like a big part of what makes me able to like create songs and stuff like that is your drum kits, your sounds. I have a fair amount of sounds. You might think that's not a lot of folders. There's folders in the folders, my G. There's levels to this. So I'm not gonna show everything, but you see some of the names here. If you go to their selfies, beg and plead, hit their DMs, go on Reddit, not advised. Please try to pay these people. They have great packs. These are the stuff I use. Find it very useful. Also on Reddit, these chord templates are beautiful. I don't know who on Reddit made them, but they are amazing. They're separated by genre, and it makes it very easy for me to create in different genres and stay within that regiment. I found these recently though. Sweetwater MIDI chord pack, it's mid. You don't need it. It's mid. Yeah. Shout out Omar. Shout out Sino. Shout out Swindale. May his alias rest in peace. He's not making music no more. Uh, Shout out West One for real. Shout out Yugi Boy. Shout out Wise. Wise is a legend. Versace, Harris Cole. All these packs, they're really good. And I use them a lot. So if you want to make stuff in this style, that is a good place to start as far as packs go. So these are just stuff from the Oshi pack. Some suspense riser added with this, and then with the impact as this. And the reason why I put it on a different track is just so I could route it to the sidechain bump to give it pump. This might be the same. No, it's not. It's a different riser, and I completely put it on the sidechain so that it could pump with the rising. So you, like right here, I'll show you how you can hear how it sounds. So sidechain is most important. I'm gonna show that next. How you would do it in Ableton, and yeah. Yeah, just an impact to layer on this, so it'd be like. Sidechain, as you can tell how many times I've referenced it back in my explanation of how I've done this, sidechain is very important. So sidechain is this compressor here. You see how the sidechain option is on, now it's off, now it's back on. So my drum here, this bad boy, every time this hits, this sidechain bus says, hey. See those peaks? Now I turn the ratio up to 4:1. That's a high compression ratio, so it's gonna pump hard when it hits. And then I turn the threshold down very low so that everything that goes into it up to a certain level, which I with me pumping it so much, it's kind of like I don't care. Like anything that's gonna go in here it's gonna pump with the same way. With the attack a little low to compensate for all the things that I am throwing in there. If you keep too high of an attack, it's gonna sound weird or choppy. You have to adjust it as you would. I don't advise changing this or this. It's not really something I do. I don't even change this. Maybe I should. Maybe I might implement it in the future, and maybe I might let you guys know. But yeah, this is basically it. Ratio 4:1, threshold at 36 dB, minus 36. And yeah, it pumps everything. So here's the song in full.